Okay, in this video we're going to talk more about using the Linux shell. So you want to be logged into the CS server. And I'll just go through some more commands that you will commonly need. First is clear. That will clear the screen to make it empty from previous stuff. So if I ls, you can clear that. PS prints programs that are currently running from this shell. So from this shell, bash is the name of the shell that I'm running, and ps command. If I have some other jobs that I started, then they would show up there. If I want to look at all the jobs, there's options that I could do, and I can look at those with the manual. So if I do man and then a command, so I could do man ls, and that'll tell me options that I could give to the ls command. And this interface here, I use my arrows to get up and down inside of man, and space to go a screen at a time. And if I'm done and I don't want to look at this anymore, there's the -L. If I'm done, I type Q. Okay, so if I do man ps, then it'll give some description of different ways it can be run, different options. So if I say ps-a, U is all users. That gives me a bigger list. Those are all processes that are running, and AUX is all users, and I don't remember the difference, but okay. So those are jobs. To see a list of things that are running in a way that automatically updates, top is a program that does that. And this is a quick way to see whether there's a lot of stuff running right now. Right now there's not. We see the load average here is 0.0. That means there's an average of 0.0 CPUs being used right now. Total amount of memory is in kilobytes. So the total amount of memory that's being used right now is 52 gigabytes. And the that's out of a much larger, so I think there's 500 gigabytes or something total, so most of it's free. This is just sort of automatically updates about which jobs are using the most CPU or memory. So here's the amount of CPU that are being used, here's the amount of memory. If I just want to see my jobs, I type U and then J. Kinney. Those are jobs that are running for me. And what are these? So SSHD, that is the program that's running on the CS server that I'm connected to, so I can type my commands. Top is the program I'm currently running. IMAP is email. Bash is the shell program that's taking my commands. And FTP, I must have some FTP program open. Q to quit top, just like less. Okay, so we have another command, hostname. That shows the name of the server that I'm logged into, which is CS. If you're on one of the machines in one of the labs, it'll have a different host name because it's a different computer. Who am I tells me who I'm logged in as. If you have multiple class accounts, then who am I will tell you which one you're currently using. Finger says who is currently logged into the CS server right now. It's just me. And clear the screen. Okay, more programs that you might want to know. I will go to my Delmi file. Alright, if I want to look at the whole file and have it print out to the screen, I could do more Delmi. If I just want to look at this first so many lines, head is a program that'll print off just this first some number of lines. So that printed off maybe 10. If I want to tell it exactly, it would be -n and say 5. That's the first 5 lines in my program. Some notes on shortcuts. So dot is the current directory, so ls dot lists the files in the current directory. Ls dot dot, that's the directory one higher. So that's dot dot dot. If I do ls tilde, that's my home directory. And I'll put a list for tab. So if I say cd space, let's see, more space cl, and I type tab, depending on what shell you're using, it'll complete as much of it as it can. So the only thing in here, the only files that start with CLA also have SS. And if I type U, it'll autocomplete some more. Okay. Other programs, Grep. Grep is for GNU regular expression. A simple way to use Grep is I can look for some string. So I could look for int in my delme.c. That prints all the lines that have int inside of them. And there's lots of other things you can do with Grep. You can look at the man page for some of what the options are. So you can have it be case sensitive or not case sensitive. You can have it only print a count of the number of lines that matched. You could have it only look for a certain number of matches. You could have it print line numbers. You could search for patterns and not just strings. So that is Grep. And we had head, tail will look at the last part of a file. Last 3 lines are there. WC stands for word count. So my file here has 357 bytes, and that is on 26 different lines and 63 words, where a word is just defined as something in between spaces. That's WC. Redirects and pipes. So the little vertical bar there, if I type grep int delme.c, so that would normally print this stuff here. If I put a pipe and then WC, what happens is whatever this would normally print to the screen goes into this program like I had typed it. So that's just like this stuff had been typed into WC. And I can run WC, so if I run WC delme.c, it just counts out of the file. But if I run WC without a file name, then it's waiting for me to type hello there, and it'll keep waiting until I type Control D. And that says that I had 1 line, 2 words, 13 bytes. If I do WC and I copy this and then paste it, and then Control D, then that was 7. Let's see, I didn't do the new line. Control D. So that's 8 lines, 23 words, 148 bytes. And if I instead just run the grep and pipe the output of the grep into the WC, then that all happens at once. And I could I could put these, just string them together so that I can put this into some other program. So if I take this part and put another pipe, then that goes into WC, which is just one line and 3 words. Okay, so that's a pipe. I can also do redirects. So if I do grep int delme.c, and if I normally that will just print to the screen, but if I want to save that into a file, I put a greater than hello.txt. Now if I look at hello.txt, it's just exactly what would have printed to the screen. I can also do it the other way. So I could take something from a file, so I could say okay, another example with the less than. So let's say that I want to make a file. So BC, I'll put this on my list of commands here. So BC is a calculator that does integer arithmetic. So if I want to do 4 times 3, that's 12. If I do 4 divided by 3 with integers, that's 1, and I could quit. Okay, if I wanted to save my calculations, so I could say Emacs or whatever your favorite text editor is, say Pico 4 times 3, 4 divided by 3, and I'll say commands.txt. Okay, so I have something called commands.txt. If I want to send that into the BC program, let me make sure. Okay, so I'd say BC and then less than commands.txt. So that takes the stuff that I had typed in commands.txt and it puts it into the BC program just like I had typed it there. So I just see the results. So those are redirects. You can send the result of a command into a file. You can take a file and put it into a command. Alright, there's your level 2 of Linux shell stuff.